Hey, hi, nice to see you. Nice of you to come back. And look at you, you're looking good. I like them khakis, man. Or if you're wearing khakis, or pants at all. Let me know in the comments if you're wearing any pants. YouTubers, right? Today, we're looking at the second episode of Kamen Rider Black. And let me tell you, it is absolutely the most second episode of the entire series. Gotta be honest, this one is a little bit light on story. First half of the episode gives us some elaboration on the events that happened last time, as well as some extra background on Kotaro himself, while the second half launches into pretty typical tokusatsu monster of the week stuff. None of which is bad, mind you, but there is a pretty clear sense that the series is finding its footing with this one. There's plenty of fun stuff present, of course, but it very much feels like a stepping stone toward greater things. So let's get into it.
Kaijin Party.
We catch up again with Kotaro as he's investigating leads toward finding Gorgom's headquarters because they still have Nobuhiko, and Kotaro wants his shower buddy back. In revisiting the rooftop and the various warehouses, we get a bit of recap on everything that happened before, all leading up to Kotaro giving Kyoko a phone call telling her that she needs to leave the house because it's no longer safe there anymore. And this is a very important detail, but I'll get to the reason why in just a second. Kotaro then spots a grasshopper on his motorcycle, causing him to flash back to his 19th birthday, the day that changed everything. Life was good, and you can tell it was good because everybody's sitting on a boat laughing for no reason at all. Kotaro is hanging out with Nobuhiko, Kyoko, and Katsumi, apparently just wasting time until their party later in the day. And I'm sorry, I hate to sound like a typical Twitter kid or something, but oh, the vibes. The 80s vibes. The sun is out, the palm trees, the white buildings. The sky could be a little bit bluer, but man, it's like a freaking city pop album cover waiting to happen. I love it. It feels good. They watch as celebrities and heads of state and the actor who played the main character in the original Ultraman series all show up for their birthday party. And they don't question it for a second, which is a little strange. Also, yeah, that's the actor who played the main character in the original Ultraman series. Susumu Kurobe. Pretty cool. Kotaro and Nobuhiko show up to their party later on dressed to the nines, and then after spitting on the cake get paraded around by Professor Akizuki in front of all these leering old men who keep staring at them like they're about to get served up for dinner. And still, they never question why any of these people are at their party. Eventually, the two are approached by Yukari Tsukikage, an actress? A pop star? Instagram model? I don't know. The show never really says. She's a celebrity. That's her character. Kotaro is a fan of hers. I'm banking on Instagram model. She refers to the two boys as the chosen ones, and then makes mention that something is going to happen the next day during the solar eclipse. But before she can say too much, Professor Akizuki cuts her off, and they all laugh about it like it's just the ramblings of a drunk girl. And this is about the point where it turns into legitimately the weirdest scene in the entire series. Yeah, in a series full of monsters and cultists and magic and tokusatsu fights going on, a birthday party on a yacht ends up being the weirdest scene. A grasshopper lands on Nobuhiko's shoulder, and then a grasshopper lands on Kotaro's shoulder. Already strange because they're on a yacht. But then a giant swarm of grasshoppers storms the yacht, causing Kotaro, Nobuhiko, Katsumi, and Kyoko to fly into a panic, flailing their arms around because ew bugs. But when they look around at the rest of the party, nobody else is reacting. They just keep sipping their champagne, wearing their tuxedos and their dresses, and acting like this is normal, like nothing's going on. And yeah, all of these people are members of Gorgon. Spoiler, not really spoiler. But being part of Gorgon does not make you a robot, it doesn't make you a monster, not immediately at least. So they all should be reacting to this like normal people would be. But no, this is how things play out. And nothing like this happens again for the rest of the series. Like I said, it's weird. It's just weird the way that it plays out. Kotaro and Nobuhiko leave the party on their motorcycles and wait, they just left Katsumi and Kyoko there? At the party with the swarm of grasshoppers and all the weirdos acting like nothing's happening? They're just gonna leave him. Okay, they're just gonna leave him there. Moving on. Kotaro and Nobuhiko leave the party on their motorcycles and are ambushed by the cult leaders, and soon we find ourselves in familiar territory. Our boys all strung up, getting operated on, but this time we get a new detail. The two of them have been implanted with something called the King Stones. Very important for later in the series. Then the usual stuff happens. Professor Akizuki shows up, chaos in the room, Kotaro escapes down a long xenomorph Death Star tunnel where he eventually finds Battle Hopper and rides his ass out of there. Flashback over. Coming back from the commercial break, Kotaro has explained to Kyoko that Gorgon are the ones responsible for her father's death, and that they also have kidnapped Nobuhiko. He tells her pretty much everything outside of the fact that he is now a karate-chopping cyborg with a cool bug-themed motorcycle. And this is the part that I was talking about when I said that Kotaro's phone call to Kyoko earlier was very important. Because the first time that I watched through the series, I remember asking myself in later episodes, if Gorgon is so powerful and they know who Kotaro is, why aren't they just going after his loved ones? Why is Kyoko not getting kidnapped over and over again? Well, our good old buddy Shozo Uehara thought of that, and it must have just passed me by. I must not have been reading the subtitles at that moment. I must have looked away or not have been paying close enough attention. I'm kinda stupid, because Kotaro has made arrangements for Kyoko to stay at a cafe owned by a friend of his from university. And of course, this place shows up over and over throughout the series, but I guess I was just under the impression that it was her summer job or something like that. Unfortunately, the message seems to have gotten a little bit mixed up, and Kotaro's university friend ends up leaving the cafe entirely in Kyoko's hands while he goes on a scuba diving trip. Poor little Kyoko, thrust into the working world by the death of her father. It turns out, Kamen Rider Black is a Dickensian tragedy. On the subject of Kyoko, while I was making the video for the first episode, I kept coming across this piece of footage of her crying over her father's lifeless body. And man, it got me just about every time. Kudos to the actress Akemi Inoue. She has just such an expressive face, and it's something that I never really paid attention to the first time I watched through the series, but she's actually pretty good. And dwelling on that, it made me wonder what other things she's ever been in. So, taking a look at her IMDb page, I was kind of surprised to find that she's pretty much only ever played Kyoko, outside of one other role in a movie called Nihon Junjoden Okashina Futari Mono Kuru o Shiki Hitobito no Mure, where she played member of Ding Dong Band. Member of Ding Dong Band. Ding Dong. Ding Dong. Member of Ding Dong Band. Member of Ding Dong Band. Member of Ding Dong. Member band. Ding Dong. Ding Dong Band. Ding Dong. Member of Ding Dong Band. Okay. Akemi Inoue. member of Ding Dong Band. Next up, we get a short scene of Gorgom spelling out their plans for mankind a little bit further. Apparently, all they want to do is, just wipe out the majority of the human race. And at the same time, we get to see some of the attendees from the yacht party before begging Gorgom to turn them into mutants, because apparently, Gorgom mutants are able to live for 50,000 years. Unless they get killed by a guy in a grasshopper suit. Kotaro follows just about the only lead he has on tracking down Gorgom by going to the apartment of Yukari Tsukikage. The famous Instagram model. She gives him the okay to come up, but by the time he gets there, he finds the apartment ransacked, and Yukari dead. This, of course, leads into the obligatory fight scene of the episode, when a leopard monster attacks, and the two of them proceed to tear up the apartment just a little bit more before Kotaro gets knocked out of the window, leading into the series' first mid-air henshin. Now in his rider form, Kotaro chases the leopard monster through the streets to a warehouse at the docks, where the two of them continue to fight, eventually making their way up to the top floor, where Kotaro once again gets knocked out of a window. Wait a minute. That's just an empty costume. They didn't even send the stuntman flying down with a dummy or anything. It's just an empty costume flailing in the wind. You know what? This gets my pick for my favorite shot of the episode. There you go. Not for any particular technical qualities or anything, just for the sheer entertainment value. After a few more action beats, Kotaro busts out his rider punch and rider kick, and the leopard monster dies in one of those cool inverted explosions. The day is saved. And Yukari is still dead. Even though I make jokes, there is still a quality to this action scene that I think really deserves to be pointed out. I said in the first video that I haven't actually seen that many tokusatsu shows, but I have sampled enough of them to see how fights usually play out, and oftentimes there's kind of a random quality to the way things happen. The characters might be in a city setting, they'll jump in place, and then suddenly they're in a rock quarry somewhere. But the action scene in this episode doesn't suffer from that at all. They start in the apartment, they go out the window to the street below, have a chase through the city, all the way to the docks, fight in the warehouse, go up to the top floor, out the window into the water, jump back up to the roof, and eventually the monster is defeated and thrown off of the roof. There's actually a really logical progression to the sequence of events here, which is something you don't always get to see with shows like this, where they have to stage fights for every single episode, and so they don't always follow the most logical progression. But not a problem here. Also, kind of a small thing, but in the first episode, the effect that they chose to accompany Kotaro's rider kick and rider punch was, shall we say, seizure-inducing. So it's nice that as early as the second episode, they've already changed it to be a much softer effect, something much easier to look at. Thank you to whoever made that decision. The episode ends with Kotaro and Kyoko taking a breather from their new circumstances, while Kotaro strengthens the resolve in his heart to defeat Gorgom and save Nobuhiko. And if Kyoko's here, I'm not sure who's watching the shop. She should probably get back to that. Hey, look at you, you got to the end of the video. Thank you for watching this long, I really appreciate that. I mean, there's a possibility that you just kind of skipped to this point. I don't know why you would do that, but I mean, all the same, you clicked on the video. Thank you for that as well. The next episode is a pretty cool one, and it's got at least one scene that's almost as weird as the yacht party. Almost. I'm not sure if it quite gets there, but it almost does. So again, thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!